You've probably met someone like this. And hey, if we're being really honest with ourselves, maybe this person is you. They are the one in the room who just seems to get it. They're watching everything, understanding everyone, all at once. But why? Let's get into it. It really is an unsettling precision, isn't it? They remember that tiny detail you mentioned weeks ago. They know just what to say to make you feel completely, totally seen. And yet, if you try to get really close, you feel it. You hit a wall. It's not a cold wall, not at all. It's just a boundary, a hard limit. So what is going on back there? Behind that perfectly polished exterior, what's really happening? What is that invisible barrier that seems to keep everyone, and I mean everyone, at a safe distance? To really understand it, we've got to look past the usual stereotypes. We have to see this carefully constructed facade for exactly what it is.
Yeah, see, this is where we get it wrong. We picture the person with deep distrust as some paranoid loner, the cynic who thinks everyone's out to get them. But so often, the reality is someone who is incredibly good at relationships, at a certain depth. They are masters of the surface level. They give, they listen, they adapt to you, all while quietly, carefully making sure you never get close enough to do any real harm. And this, right here, is the absolute key to understanding all of this. This isn't a personality trait. It's not something they were just born with. No. This is architecture, a defensive fortress designed with incredible skill and built brick by brick over many, many years. Okay, so if it's architecture, then every building needs a blueprint, right? So where did this one come from? Well, to find that, we have to go way back, all the way back to the beginning. So the psychologist John Bowlby gave us something called attachment theory, and it's essential here. Basically, he discovered that our very first relationships, usually with our parents, create what he called a working model in our brain. Think of it like a template. It's the brain's first draft of what relationships are supposed to feel like, and it becomes the default for everything that comes after. So here's how that template gets made. First, when you're a little kid, your brain is just gathering data. It's asking, are people safe? Can I depend on them? Second, based on all that evidence, your nervous system draws a conclusion. Third, that conclusion, whatever it is, becomes the default setting, the template for connection. And here's the kicker. For the rest of your life, your brain's main job is to defend that original template. Now, just imagine for a second. What if the people who were supposed to be your safe harbor, your comfort, were also the source of your fear? What if care was unpredictable? If love felt conditional? Well, the conclusion the brain draws is devastatingly simple. It doesn't just decide those people are unsafe, it makes a leap. It decides people are unsafe, period. And that one core conclusion creates a constant, draining internal battle. It completely defines what it feels like to live inside this architecture every single day. I really want you to let this one sink in. Because here's the thing, that deep human need for connection, it never actually goes away. But the belief that connection is survivable, that it won't end in disaster, that shrinks. And what you're left with is this constant, exhausting negotiation between what your heart desperately wants and what your brain believes is actually possible. The psychologist Jennifer Freyd actually gave this a name. She called it betrayal trauma. And it's very specific. It's what happens when the very person you depend on to live, to survive, is also the person who is harming you. It's a psychological catch-22, and it does a very particular kind of damage. Think about it. A little kid can't just leave a caregiver. It's not an option. So the brain performs an incredible survival trick. It learns to not know what it knows. It just buries the awareness of the betrayal to keep that vital attachment alive. But if you do that for long enough, you eventually stop trusting your own gut, your own perception of reality. The distrust doesn't just point outwards anymore. It flips and turns inward. And the question becomes, wait, am I the problem here? Am I just crazy? So all that inner chaos has to go somewhere, and it usually shows up in one of a few ways. You might see the avoidant pattern, pushing people away right when things start to feel real. Or maybe the anxious pattern, constantly checking, testing, needing reassurance. And sometimes you get both at once, that dizzying push-pull where they pull you in close, then panic and shove you away. From the outside, it can look like someone is playing games, but from the inside, it feels like you're drowning. So, can this be fixed?
If distrust is architecture, then healing isn't about demolition. You don't just knock it all down. No, it's a slow, painstaking, careful renovation project. And the very first rule of this renovation is that it has nothing to do with grand gestures. Huge promises like, I swear I'll never hurt you, they mean almost nothing to a nervous system that is fundamentally wired to expect betrayal. Instead, real healing comes from something called earned security. It's a process where the brain starts to gather new evidence, little bits of data from repeated, consistent, safe experiences that slowly, ever so slowly, begin to revise that original working model. And notice that word, it's revise, not replace. The old blueprint is always there. And this is what that new evidence actually looks like. It's not one big heroic rescue. It's the accumulation of hundreds of tiny, even boring moments of reliability. It's someone just being who they said they would be, again and again and again, until finally, reluctantly, the nervous system starts to believe that maybe, just maybe, the other shoe isn't going to drop this time. I really want to just pause on this. For a person who has spent their entire life building walls just to feel safe, the decision to even try to trust again, to hand someone a single brick, is not a small step. It is an act of profound, unbelievable courage. And if any of this has felt uncomfortably familiar, if you see yourself in this architecture, I want you to hear this loud and clear. The fact that you still want connection, that you still carry that hope inside of you, despite everything your history and your nervous system has screamed at you, that is a superpower. That capacity for love is a testament to a strength most people could never sustain. You built what you had to survive. And you did. So the journey from here isn't about tearing down all the walls and standing in the open. Not at all. It's the slower, quieter, stranger work of walking around your own fortress and starting to figure out which walls have served their purpose, and which ones, you know what, you might actually want to keep.